So, in 1997, the TV show Stargate SG-1 aired on Showtime. Based on the 1994 Stargate movie, it follows SG-1, a special operations unit of the United States Air Force, as they venture out into the galaxy by means of an ancient alien artifact discovered at an archaeological dig site in Egypt, the Stargate, which allows for instantaneous transportation across vast distances. And it is a galaxy filled with the descendants of the ancient peoples of Earth, who were taken as slaves and are now ruled by an evil, megalomaniacal species of parasitic aliens, the Goa'uld. Like the best science fiction, it has high-stakes drama and exciting action, with a fun group of engaging protagonists, as it explores a variety of interesting science fiction concepts and difficult ethical situations. And throughout, one thing this show does really well are episodes with strong emotional stories. And it is those episodes I would like to talk about today. So this is my list of the 10 most emotionally powerful episodes of Stargate SG-1. Number 10. Season 1, Episode 1, Children of the Gods. The first episode of the TV series Stargate SG-1. This pilot is a two-parter, giving it a feature-length runtime, which combined with a strong production value makes for an epic introduction to the series. The story begins around a year after the original movie, and shows the formation of SG-1, our frontline team in the fight against the Goa'uld. The Stargate project has been mothballed, until an assault from alien forces kills 4 airmen and captures 1 more. A team is sent through the gate to Abydos to make contact with Daniel Jackson and to provide recon on this new threat. And while there, Abydos is attacked by the same Goa'uld who attacked the SGC on Earth, and Jack's friend Skara and Daniel's wife Sha'Rah are abducted. The team heads to Teal'c to attempt a rescue, where they are captured and held prisoner, as Sha'Rah and Skara are taken as hosts by the parasitic Goa'uld. The team manage to escape with the help of an unlikely ally, Teal'c, first Prime of Apophis, who joins the team in their fight against these false gods. And the episode ends with them looking to find and free their lost friends, who are somewhere out there in this newly discovered network of Stargates. As well as being an epic and action-packed introduction to the universe of Stargate SG-1, to Stargate Command and to the mission that lies before them, this episode is also our introduction to our main characters, establishing their backgrounds, their personalities, and their motivations. So let's talk about our main cast. Colonel Jack O'Neill, 2 L's, played by Richard Dean Anderson, an ex-Special Forces commander brought out of retirement for the mission to Abydos. Disarmingly charming, with a slight anti-authority streak, he cares more than he lets on, and has an extremely sharp mind that he often hides with humour. O'Neill is driven by a desire to fight the good fight, with a willingness to sacrifice to save innocent lives. He's an amazing man. After everything he's done, he's still modest, quite self-effacing actually. He even likes people to think he's not as smart as he really is. Bottom line, he's an incredibly strong leader who's given more of himself for this program than anyone has given for, well, anything I can imagine. In this episode, he returns to Abydos where he reconnects with Skara, a boy who idolised Jack and who had the courage to help with the uprising against their god figure Ra. His innocence, curiosity and courage endeared him to Jack, who having tragically lost his own son, became protective of Skara in a kind of surrogate-father relationship. It is clear this bond is still strong and he is so happy to see him.
Skara.
One here. Yeah, I did not think to be seeing you again.
But while guarding the gate, Skara is abducted by the Goa'uld Apophis, and later taken to be host to become one of the children of the gods. And it is a devastating loss for Jack, as he does everything he can to try to save him.
Nane! Nane! One here! Skara! One here! One here! One here!
Skara.
And throughout this mission, Jack consistently tries to save people. It isn't just those closest to him, it's every innocent. You get a sense that even while his previous job was Black Ops, a tough, dirty job, he was a true hero, doing it for the right reason. His single strongest motivation, his drive to protect.
General, let me take a team through that gate. We'll find out who those aliens are.
I can save these people! Help me!
Next up we have Captain Samantha Carter, played by Amanda Tapping, a captain in the United States Air Force, a fighter pilot with a PhD in theoretical astrophysics, and all-round genius of science and engineering. She's the perfect officer, a dedicated and loyal second in command and an outstanding problem solver, with a lifelong ambition of becoming an astronaut, delighting in discovery and exploration. She is an ideal fit for the Stargate program. In this episode we get our introduction to Carter.
Colonel, I logged over 100 hours in enemy airspace during the Gulf War. Is that tough enough for you?
I think what the Colonel is saying is, have you ever pulled out of a simulated bombing run in an F-16 at 8+ Gs?
Yes.
And we see her wonder at the amazing science at work, and at the dawning realization of the scale of the Gate network. At this point you can tell her and Jack already like each other, not because of romance, but because she is clearly exceptional, and committed to doing an excellent job. She exudes competence, dedication, and an excitement to get out there.
The energy the Gate must release to create a stable wormhole, it's astronomical, to use exactly the right word.
The Stargate can go other places.
The aliens could have come from anywhere.
Dr. Daniel Jackson, played by Michael Shanks, an archaeologist and linguist whose unusual theories saw him ostracized from the scientific community. His research was ultimately key to unlocking the Stargate, and he went on the original Abydos mission, where he stayed behind to make a life with his wife Sha'Rai among the people of Abydos. And this is where we find him at the beginning of the series. His strong sense of ethics often guide his actions, both to the benefit and frustration of his commanding officers. With the abduction of Sha'Rai, he is forced to leave his newfound home and return to Earth.
I don't care about your orders, Colonel. My wife is out there, so is Skara.
And the only way we're gonna get him back is for you to come home with us.
We see his desperate grief as she is taken as a host, but also his curious mind. When he is asking what he would remember, he's not just looking to throw his life away, but also trying to find out if he might still be able to save hers.
How much would I remember if you chose me?
Daniel, what are you doing?
Something of the host must survive.
His desire to find and save his wife is his main motivation, closely followed by his desire to save who he can, and prevent anyone else from losing their loved ones the way he has. Even moments after his wife is taken, he's thinking about other people, as he promises to bring her home, not only for himself, but for all of the people who know and love her.
Look, I mean, I know this is your decision, but I really have to be on their team.
Teal'c of Teal'c, played by Christopher Judge, the former First Prime of Apophis, essentially the highest-ranking officer, his most skilled warrior, with a position of great honour. Teal'c is nonetheless driven by a desire to free his people from Goa'uld tyranny, having witnessed and committed atrocities under their rule, and as First Prime, having had privileged access that allowed him to see the true face of his Goa'uld masters. He knows what they really are. We see his horror as he bears witness to the parasitic Goa'uld taking a host.
Shame.
And his pain at the remorseless murder of the other captured civilians. He's not some arrogant, indoctrinated fool. He understands how terrible it is, the things they do as a society.
No.
Meeting SG-1 gives him hope that they are from a people strong enough that they may actually be able to resist the Goa'uld. And so, unwilling to keep serving his evil masters, he decides to rebel and to free these people.
Many have said that. But you are the first I believe could do it.
His main motivation is to slay false gods and to free his people from their oppressive rule. And he risks everything at a chance to accomplish this, despite how tough a choice that must have been for him.
I have nowhere to go.
For this, you can stay at my place. Let's go!
And our fifth man, General George Hammond, played by Don S. Davis, the leader of Stargate Command. He was initially stationed at the Cheyenne Mountain Complex as a quiet position to see him through to retirement, but with the incursion through the Gate, he takes command of the newly established SGC. A strong leader with an even hand and a big heart. He cares about his people and the bigger picture, and holds himself and his command to the highest ethical standard. And he wastes no time in rallying to respond to this new threat, while still trying to maintain those standards. He does the American military system proud, showing that the considerations at play are complex. He gives it real thought. He is firm, but open-minded as he asks Jack for his input. He is looking for options and trying to do the best.
General, you can't do that.
Oh, I can't?
There are innocent people on that planet.
There are innocent people here.
Does this mean you're reconsidering sending the bomb, sir?
It means I'm open to suggestions.
And it is clear the care and faith he has in his people. as they are sent out on this dangerous mission through the gate.
Sir, the deadline has been reached. Standing by to seal off Stargate, sir.
Belay my last order. Do not seal the gate or lock out their transmitter codes.
Yes, sir.
Together, they bring fresh hope to the galaxy, something that has been lost under the oppressive rule of the System Lords. By burying their Stargate, Earth has been allowed to grow and thrive, and through the mission of the SGC, Earth embraces its responsibility for its lost peoples. A galaxy filled with humans enslaved by monsters. The team's taken the fight to them, doing what they can with limited abilities in the face of an enormous evil empire. Our good guys are straight up heroes. It's also worth mentioning the score. The Stargate theme gave the movie a grand atmosphere, and the show makes great use of this, giving it a cinematic, movie-scale feel. The movie establishes a lot of what makes the show great, and they passed the baton near flawlessly. They change very little as they incorporate and adjust the canon. What they do introduce with things like the Jaffa and the Iris all seem very legitimate as part of this extending canon. And the casting of characters felt like an equally flawless handover. A very strong start. Truly an epic introduction. And in the powerful moments setting up the characters and motivations, it definitely earns its place on this list.
She's out there somewhere, Jack. I know. So Scar. So what do?
We find him.
Number 9. Season 3, Episode 6, Point of View. Using the quantum mirror, a Dr. Samantha Carter and Major Charles Kowalski show up inside a Nellis Air Force Base high-security lockup, having narrowly escaped from an alternate reality, in which Earth has just been conquered by the Goa'uld. Initially seeking asylum, it becomes apparent that the alternate reality Carter will be physically unable to exist long-term in our world, and they will have to return to their own reality. So the team forms a plan to save not only them, but their whole planet. They journey through the quantum mirror to make contact with the alternate reality's Asgard and to stop the Goa'uld invasion. This episode centres around a version of Samantha Carter from an alternate reality, where her and Jack O'Neill were married, with her Jack having just died during the defence of the mountain. And this gives us a glimpse into the depth of emotions that exist, and that could exist, between Jack and Sam.
I watched you die, Jack. 3 days ago, trying to defend the mountain. You don't even see her that way, do you? I know you well enough to know that you don't have a clue what to say. But you don't have to say anything.
Having just spent time with Dr. Carter, Jack asks our Sam if she wants to talk about things. This is Jack reaching out, wanting to have that closer relationship. Jack saying okay when Carter asks, "Do you have a couple hours?" is a big step, and there is a small moment of sadness as Sam declines.
Do you have a couple of hours?
Okay.
Ultimately, they are not those people, and that is not their life. The knowledge they can't, or at least won't, have that kind of relationship is sad for them both. But they aren't fools. They know. They do have perfectly good reasons for continuing their friendship and professional relationship as is, even if it may be hard to have those feelings at times. I love seeing this reality in which Earth falls to a Goa'uld attack. Our bad guys are the always wonderful Peter Williams, as the alternate reality Apophis, note the beard, in his devastating conquest of the planet. As we also get alternate reality Teal'c, beard. There are some things you can't do in the main continuity, but in an alternate reality, you can explore an alien invasion of Earth with much more ease. It's definitely cool to see. An enjoyable episode. And if you ship Carter and O'Neill, this is definitely an interesting one. Number 8. Season 3, Episode 5, Learning Curve. SG-1 encounter a culture whose technology has recently been making huge leaps forward. It turns out they use nanobots to create a caste of gifted children, the Uron. In a process called the Avarium, these nanobots are then removed and shared among their people, along with the knowledge they have gained. However, this process leaves the former Uran children with their minds essentially stripped away, and they are then left to linger in this brain-damaged state. On learning this, O'Neill kidnaps one of these Uran children, Merrin, who's been working with Carter at the SGC to develop a prototype Naquadah reactor. He takes her to a local school to let her experience what he considers some of the important parts of childhood, and in doing so teaches her and her people what it means to learn and have fun. In this episode, the SGC and the Urbanians are engaging in a cultural exchange, which has the gang interacting with these gifted but overburdened children. And it's an opportunity to show a more fun side from Carter. Honestly, Sam's interactions with Merrin are lovely. Sam being the more carefree, less intellectual one is interesting. These kids are clearly very intelligent, so much so they actually make Carter feel stupid, but are also completely unaware of simple things we would take for granted.
What is that?
It's a picture of me. Well, what would have been the fun in that?
Fun?
Teal'c's interactions with Toman, and then his reaction when Toman is taken away, quickly dropping the diplomatic tone and getting real serious, is a great reminder he's not just muscles, but is himself a father, and is a caring and protective person. We sometimes see him with his family, but they are not with him on Earth, so we don't see it often. But it is definitely part of his character, and this episode shows it off well.
I would like to see Toman immediately. Jalen! Explain this Avarium.
Teal'c and Daniel are on the planet working with the Urbanians as they discover what an Avarium is. Daniel is his normal frantic self, losing his cool while trying to get these people to see the ethical issue at hand. But interestingly here, he ultimately has to accept their position. It's a complicated one. We feel it is inherently wrong, but it also seems to be how their world works, and that the work being done is important, maybe actually worth it. It's a tough ethical situation, and Daniel struggling to accept this feels like a very natural process.
In our cultures, we don't believe in doing anything that results in harming a child.
We do not harm our children, Dr. Jackson. You have seen Toman. You have seen how well he is cared for. They will have to wait 12 years for another Uron to learn.
Well, I didn't know that.
Jack, however, is so protective that he simply can't accept the loss of Merrin. As far as he is concerned, she is too young. She is just a child and hasn't even lived. So he straight up kidnaps her and takes her to a local school, as he tries to give her a chance to experience some of the good things in life. Jack is so caring and honest to his feelings, even if that means disobeying orders.
It doesn't have to be exact. Paint me a flower.
Nice.
They're beautiful. Thank you.
Jack simply does not believe it is worth it. Important or not, there is no justification for scooping a kid's brains out, but at some point he just has to give it up. And losing her, bringing her back to the SGC to return her to her world, is obviously devastating for him to accept. And while he may have conceded, he doesn't agree. With a sweet moment where Merrin asks, "You're mad at me?" and Jack says no. Then she asks, "Then you understand?" And there is just a pregnant pause. It's not her he's mad at, and he doesn't want to upset her as they say goodbye. But he also doesn't want to tell her he thinks this is acceptable.
You are mad at me for not staying.
No. No, I'm not.
Then you understand. I'd like to thank you for the experience you have given me and to my people. I have learned much in my time here.
But his efforts were not for nothing, and thankfully lead to a somewhat happy, if bittersweet ending, with the experiences he gave Merrin being extracted from her and passed on to her people. And it's interesting that it spreads to all of their people immediately. Like, their system isn't perfect, but it's good that they are willing and able to incorporate an outside perspective. Not like we would. Daniel trying to discuss and teach them why their current approach isn't right just doesn't work. They have to learn their way, by sharing the attained information and experience through nanites. And the episode ends with the team going back to Orban, and seeing the change they have brought about, and the lives they have saved, or at least significantly improved. Though the kids' minds are still gone, they have a chance for a better life than they would have. There's a touching moment between Teal'c and the Uran child Toman, and we close out on Jack playing and drawing with Merrin, which it turns out was just as lovely in reality. Apparently for the kid on set, Richard Dean Anderson was a delight to work with. and made it a mission to keep making her laugh with his dog drawings.
Come. Look. Isn't it wonderful?
You ever seen a dog? Dogs are my favorite people.
So they literally save kids from a life left with untreated brain damage, which definitely has some strong emotional resonance. And like many of the episodes on this list, there is not a shot fired, showing that a lot of great SG-1 is about the stories. And this one honestly is a nice bit of sci-fi, with an unusual and evocative subject matter for our team to explore. Number 7. Season 4, Episode 5, Divide and Conquer. During a friendly meeting, the Teal'c are attacked by a member of the SGC, believing them to be a Teal'c, a sleeper agent assassin created by a specific type of Goa'uld mind programming. The SGC's personnel are tested using an experimental device. Another SG team member is identified as one of these sleeper agents. As personnel continue being tested, 2 more suspected Teal'cs are found, Carter and O'Neill. The 2 are trapped between the possibility of self-termination and the risky process of deprogramming. So, O'Neill volunteers for the experimental treatment in the hopes of at least saving Carter. However, it turns out that what the machine is detecting are the feelings they have for one another but can't admit to. To prove they aren't a risk, they must simply confess how they feel. Straight off the bat, we are thrown into the horror of the situation. Having no control as you are used to commit murder is bad enough. Being mind-controlled to die is terrible. And then our heroes are thrown into it, bringing it that step closer to home, and they are faced with the difficulty of the choice between their programming and the risk of deprogramming. Jack decides to risk the experimental deprogramming, taking the chance in hopes that even if it can't save him, maybe it can save Sam.
We don't know for sure that you will suffer any ill effects from the procedure.
Some choice.
Maybe it'll help Carter. Her brain's worth a lot more than mine.
Well, I think it's more that they would rather risk dying than lose who they are.
But in the nick of time, Sam figures out what the issue is, giving us the admission of love. They both know they have these feelings, but they both also value their relationship as it is. They would die for each other, they care for each other, and they love working together. Enough to forsake a romantic relationship. But here to save their lives, they are forced to put their feelings into words.
Sir, just go!
No!
I care about her. A lot more than I'm supposed to.
And then we get the somber moment after, where they talk about what to do next, and they decide to stay professional. They may just be too afraid to try, but I think they know what it means. They understand what matters to them. And the episode ends with the death of Martouf. I personally feel very little for the Teal'c. Whenever they interact with our heroes, it is to use them as unwitting dupes or even as unwilling hosts. So frankly, I still have my suspicions that they are simply a more insidious version of evil parasitic snakeheads. But Martouf seems nice, and his death is a sad moment. Especially for Sam, who helps stop his assassination attempt but can't save him. And with the romantic memories she has from Jolinar, it must hurt all the more deeply. This episode is a little shaky. It feels somewhat weak starting out, but it leads to some solid exploration of difficult choices, with our characters facing some tough emotional moments and ethical decisions. But this happens pretty often with good sci-fi. Sometimes an episode has to develop before the real hit comes. Number 6, Season 4, Episode 6, Window of Opportunity. While exploring a planet with mysterious ancient ruins, the team encounters an archaeologist who is investigating the ruins and the ancient device within, as well as the planet's powerful geomagnetic storm. The device activates and they get caught in a time loop that only Jack and Teal'c are aware of. It is up to them to convince the others what is happening. They try various things to unravel and solve the problem with no success, but are eventually able to convince the scientist responsible that the device will never do what he needs it to, and that he must come to terms with the loss of his wife. In possibly my favourite episode of the series, If this was a list of the most fun episodes of SG-1, this episode would easily be at the top of my list, with a whole bunch of good bits.
There you go. How would I know that?
Maybe you read my report.
Maybe he read your report?
It's a delight watching Jack and Teal'c goofing off so much they mastered juggling.
Okay, this section of the text seems to deal primarily with their arrival on P4X-639. This appears to be a reference to the gradual degeneration.
At some point, Daniel suggests that so long as they are stuck in a loop that consistently resets, they are living in a world where there are no consequences. So for a bunch of loops they embrace this, and Jack does some things he's always wanted to, with golfing through the gate, learning pottery, and honestly, it's not like they're being irresponsible. Their first thought is to solve the issue. But all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. So taking a few loops off isn't lazy. It's actually likely essential to them maintaining sanity.
Colonel Neal, what the hell are you doing? In the middle of my backswing!
And of course, one of the things he's always wanted to do is handing in his resignation so that he can kiss Carter.
Resigning? What for?
So I can do this.
And my favourite joke of the episode. Jack continually trying to demonstrate they are in a time loop, but using bad examples. Every time it just gets funnier. Jack is really smart. He's got great command instincts. But this time loop stuff is just a bit beyond his comfort zone. So he tries his best, but keeps just missing the mark.
No, we haven't. That's what you were going to say.
Of course that's what I was going to say.
Okay, bad example. Come on, is this the face of a crazy man? Bad example. What kind of archaeologist carries a weapon?
I do.
Bad example.
SG-12 isn't due back for 3 days.
Unscheduled off-world activation.
So close.
Did I not say that your plan would be unsuccessful?
Careful. Be careful.
We also have the descent into madness, with Jack gradually losing his composure, losing his patience as he gets increasingly frustrated with being trapped in this loop.
Keep me posted. Keep me apprised. I ask you, what could possibly be in my eye that would explain this? This is a bad idea.
2 weeks ago, SG-50...
We've done this.
We do this every day.
Getting angry in a briefing as he struggles to keep his cool. Getting down, getting frustrated. It's a great performance. It feels very natural in showing what he's going through. And if you were stuck in this situation, it would eventually start to push you to your limit.
No longer in possession of one's faculties, 3 fries short of a happy meal. Wacko!
Even Teal'c begins getting fed up. Despite his usual discipline, getting hit in the face to start out every loop has got to rub you the wrong way.
Sorry, sir. I didn't realize you were there.
You have said that on many occasions.
Together, with the help of the others at the SGC, they gradually crack the problem, and we get to the emotional final confrontation. Thanks to a force field, the team cannot physically get to the altar, and so have to make an appeal to the scientist. Sam points out that the field is affecting 14 worlds, and he is screwing with the lives of billions of people. And he has a realization right there, as he continues to resist, but their arguments start cutting through. It's clear he isn't evil, he's just desperate.
You think I would do this for personal power? She?
That's 14 worlds reliving the same day over and over.
Then, realizing that the scientist is doing this for a personal reason, Jack makes the final emotional appeal. And it's a painful moment. The raw hurt in Jack, showing his understanding of the pain. The team isn't so much convincing him as chipping through his denial. They're making him see the truth. And as soon as it's said, he knows. He knows it would kill him to relive his wife's final days.
Talk with her. Hear her laugh.
Like you remember.
Yes.
Then what'll happen? I know what it's like.
You can't! I lost my son! I know!
A Truly great episode. Funny, smart, emotional, and the process of investigating and solving the problem seems real. We are thinking like them. Their proposed solutions seem like good possibilities. And even when they fail, they reveal more about the problem. We get frustrated as they do, we root for Jack and Teal'c to keep trying things, and are as relieved as they are when they solve the issue. As I say, this honestly might be my favourite episode, but it's 6th on this list. Number 5. Season 3, Episode 17, 100 Days. While visiting a planet with potential trading partners, the team stop to watch the fire rain, an annual meteor shower. It turns out to be more serious than originally thought, with countless meteorites hitting ground. The gate gets hit and Jack gets stranded on a planet with no hope of return. He struggles to make peace with this, grieving his past life, going through depression, eventually accepting his new life on this world, and the love he finds there, over 100 days. But the SGC doesn't stop, and a rescue arrives, and Jack must leave behind his new life, the love he found, and return to the life he had accepted as lost. This one does great, dealing with loss, grief, and starting over. We see Jack's shock when he hears the gate was hit. Then he doesn't want to accept it is gone. So he uses his free time trying to dig through the rubble to get it back. He struggles with depression, lying in bed, and staying withdrawn from the people around him. It's basically the loss of a life, his life, and he is grieving. Loss is that way.
I'll never see my people again. They can never come home.
There's a chance the Stargate is just
We
barren.
have to rebuild before the harvest, and there are very few of us now. This is my home, and you are welcome here. You need to eat.
I don't even like my company right now.
You will again. Loss is that way.
But in time he adjusts to life there and the people he now lives beside. And with it, he opens himself up to the love he finds with Lyra.
Does that help?
A little.
Eventually, accepting that he will never go home. We see his resilience fairly often. He is no stranger to hardships or loss, and he continues to work and fight regardless. And he shows that same resilience here, as he begins to embrace his new life. Because it's okay to be sad, but then it is important to regrow. You have got to keep trying.
Toss it.
Are you sure?
Meanwhile, the SGC has never stopped trying, and have devised a solution. Carter, Teal'c, Daniel, Hammond, the whole SGC team, aren't the type to give up. But for Jack, they go the extra mile, and they manage to get back to the planet. Lyra hears the voice on the radio, and realizes she is probably losing Jack. She almost considers not telling him about hearing the radio. But she can't do that to him, even with what it means for her.
I thought I heard a sound come from this. Perhaps a voice.
Like, she has previously lost her husband, and so this must be tough. But she loves Jack enough to let him go, back to the life he had lost. Jack is rescued, and he is just so very happy to see Teal'c. He prepares to leave and return home, but is clearly sad to lose the love he has found.
You are one stubborn son of a bitch!
It's a lovely story, couched in this science fiction setting. Plenty of drama and a strong emotional journey. Another example of the kind of emotionally driven sci-fi story a show like this can do. Number 4. Season 6, Episode 6, Abyss. Jack is captured by Baal after being used by a Tok'ra. Trapped, alone, and with no rescue in sight, he is tortured by Baal for any information left behind by the Tok'ra that was controlling him. Daniel in his ascended form shows up to try to help Jack by offering to save his soul through ascension, before the ongoing torture breaks Jack's mind and the sarcophagus destroys the man he is. Eventually, a plan that comes to Teal'c while he is meditating allows Jack to break free and escape, and while Daniel's original idea to save Jack ends up not being needed, he was at least there as a friend to help Jack through. In this episode, we are with Jack as he undergoes torture, starting out as his usual defiant self. I mean, as far as strength of will goes, Jack sets a high bar.
Ball? As in bocce?
And then we witness him suffering, enduring real pain, and struggling to maintain as he begins to break. Being ground down, feeling angry, cowed, then just empty. Torture breaks people. It is literally torture. And watching someone so strong fall apart is difficult. Seeing Jack get angry and yell at Daniel is difficult, but it is not his fault.
I haven't a clue. No! If I knew the name, I'd give you the damn name. I don't care about protecting the Joker.
Any minute they're gonna come. Ball's gonna kill me again. You can make it the last time.
Don't ask me to do that.
Tell me what I wish to know, I will end this.
It is nice actually seeing Daniel after his traumatic death and ascension. It is nice that he shows up to be there for Jack. And together they talk about saving Jack's soul. It may seem trivial, but not going through it alone is massive. And while Daniel officially can't affect change as an ancient, I strongly suspect Teal'c's idea, which comes to him during meditation, actually comes from Daniel. It seems he is playing it smart, but for Jack he will bend the rules.
You were gone.
I know, I'm sorry. There was something I had to do.
And so Daniel's original idea to save Jack through ascension ends up not being needed. But Jack is definitely thankful that he had Daniel there as a friend to support him.
Hi, Jack.
Daniel.
Humanity's potential. That's the same thing Oma saw in me.
I am not you.
Yeah, when has it ever stopped you from doing anything? You wouldn't do
Ball would be dead.
Jack.
I don't think I'd stop there.
You're a better man than that.
That's where you're wrong!
You don't have any other choices. This is not your life we're talking about, Jack. This is your soul.
Thanks.
As soon as they find out from the Tok'ra that Jack has gone missing, the SGC are trying their best to save him, with a great example of General Hammond being a truly awesome commanding officer. The Tok'ra are often jerks, and in this instance are refusing to share vital information, so Hammond puts it on the line to force their cooperation. And it shows what kind of allies they really are. Their information is useful, the cooperation is useful, but they are not friends.
If our relations continue in the direction they're going, Counselor, I don't give a damn.
That is one of my favourite General Hammond lines. Just being a badass. It definitely makes me want to salute the man. This episode has Daniel confirmed as not dead. They see him ascend, but this is the first real interaction showing this. Honestly, Daniel dies a lot. It kind of becomes a running joke. Still, as one of the main cast and a great character, seeing he is not gone from the show is a comfort. And we get Baal, a wonderful character portrayed by Cliff Simon. Baal is awesome, and it is good to see him doing his evil thing. And Baal, though clearly evil, he's not the usual insane and arrogant to the point of stupid that many Goa'uld are, which makes him a really interesting adversary. And importantly, this is the first time Baal encounters Jack O'Neill, beginning one of the show's best friend-foe relationships.
I don't know the meaning of the word. Seriously. Impudence, what does that mean?
Number 3. Stargate Atlantis, Season 5, Episode 6, The Shrine. I know this was originally slated as a list of SG-1 episodes, but while doing my rewatch of everything Stargate, I found the spin-off series Stargate Atlantis had a whole bunch of great episodes. And while I initially wasn't going to stray from SG-1, this episode deserves talking about. The impact this episode had on me is basically the inspiration for this list, focusing on the strength of emotions found within these stories. After a night stranded in near-freezing conditions, Dr. Rodney McKay is infected with a Pegasus Galaxy illness similar to Alzheimer's. Through video recordings, we see the effect it is having on Rodney, as he struggles with his rapidly diminishing mental capacity, and the fear and confusion that comes with this. The people around him are also struggling with this situation, as they watch their teammate, friend and brother slipping away so quickly and being unable to help. Ronan tells the team about a shrine where a person can return to their normal self, spend one last good day with their loved ones, and then pass away peacefully. So the team takes Rodney to this shrine to allow him a chance to say goodbye. But it turns out the shrine's properties provide an opportunity to surgically remove the parasite in Rodney's brain, and they are instead able to save him. This episode is delivered in a somewhat mixed up order, including stories, flashbacks, and some very upsetting video clips showing Rodney's decay. This kind of mental decline is such a sad thing, and Rodney is clearly scared, annoyed at himself, feeling lost and pitiful, helpless. A whole gambit of rough emotions as he loses his grip on his own mind. He is specifically very proud of how smart he is, making it all the more poignant. But really, anyone would be suffering here.
You're Dr. McKay, remember?
No, I'm not anymore. I'm not smart anymore. Where'd John go?
He just had to go away for a few minutes. He'll be
John!
Rodney? Rodney, I'm your friend. I'm right here.
Where are you, John?
Atlantis in the, God's sake. In Pegasus Galaxy.
I don't know. How can I not know that? Hey, John.
And we get some powerful performances from the people around him seeing him fade. There is a particularly great performance from his sister, who it turns out is played by his sister in real life, Kate Hewlett. So it is possible this was part of why the emotion she brought to her performance feels so true.
Okay, I know what he's told you.
That he's dying, and there's nothing you can do.
No, he's dying, and I'm doing everything I can.
Crying because of me.
No, I'm crying because I missed you very much. Sweetie, I just need to go outside for 1 second, okay? I will be right back. I promise.
And some lovely moments from John. It's clear Rodney adores John, with him being his last cornerstone. John is his cool, confident friend, like a big brother to a scared boy. Rodney just wants him to be around, so he can feel like John will keep him safe.
Not happening. Please, you're stuck with me, Rodney. Just accept it.
Yeah, but
No! Hey, pal.
Hey, John.
And of course, this is a nice performance from David Hewlett, playing Dr. Rodney McKay. This show does good things with him. It's really outstanding how they develop Rodney in Atlantis. In Stargate SG-1, Rodney McKay was a jerk and a creep, but Atlantis makes him likeable. They don't even rewrite or change who he is. He's still the condescending, arrogant jerk we know from SG-1, but through several seasons of good writing, they make you like him. A fantastically flawed anti-hero. So by this point, we are endeared enough to him that seeing him suffer is pretty rough. There is just something primal about it. I don't know, it's just so upsetting. I think it really is just a great, honest piece of writing. It's not the only great Atlantis episode worth discussing here, but this one really stands out, and just needed to be on my list. Number 2, Season 1, Episode 18, Solitudes. While the team is returned to Earth, the Stargate malfunctions, throwing Daniel and Teal'c out at the SGC, and throwing Jack and Sam out of an unknown gate, in a place long abandoned and overcome by ice. Wounded and unable to activate the gate, they struggle as they try to get home and keep one another alive. Jack has several broken bones and some serious internal bleeding, and everything Sam tries to dial the gate seems to not be working. The surface is ice as far as the eye can see. Close to death and out of options, they accept their fate and prepare to die together. But Daniel finally manages to work it out. This gate is actually a second gate on Earth. They have been stranded in the Antarctic the whole time, and they are rescued and brought home safely. We follow Sam and Jack as they help each other survive. Throughout the whole ordeal, Jack keeps reinforcing to Sam that they will get through this. You have to believe that. And Sam is just completely unwilling to give up on Jack. Trying and trying despite getting consistently thwarted, as she heads towards running out of options. They both understand the situation. that Jack is dangerously wounded, and that the freezing conditions and lack of supplies will ultimately be fatal. They know they have to try, whilst managing their survival and their morale. They are trained for this. Still, this is Carter's first time applying a splint, and facing the reality of this kind of situation is challenging. But together, they keep each other strong.
I'll be damned if I'm gonna die on some godforsaken block of ice a million light years from home. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Colonel.
It's my sidearm, I swear.
And when everything else fails and it comes time for hard choices, Jack knows what has to happen and begs Sam to save herself.
Plan B. Go.
No, sir.
Please.
Yes, sir.
But even Plan B fails. Despite everything they do, they are simply not able to save themselves. Accepting their fate, they huddle together. And it's a sweet moment. Just dying, without anger, with dignity, kindness, and respect for each other and the time they have spent together.
Yes, sir.
It was an honor serving with you.
It's all right. You can sleep now. It was an honor serving with you too, Colonel.
And the whole time, the SGC is working as hard as they can to mount an effective search and rescue, trying everything they can think of to find them and bring them home, coming up with theories and sending out SG teams to scour the galaxy, but to no avail.
I couldn't sleep. I was thinking that I must be missing something, and now I just realized. We ruled out a world we shouldn't have.
Eventually, Daniel cracks it, and with a little help from the tremors caused by one of Sam's failed dialing attempts, they're able to actually locate them, and in the nick of time are able to send a rescue. Hammond is even there. It is clearly important to him to bring his people home. I love the last shot with Hammond in the gate. In this episode, Amanda Tapping is great. She really brings such good acting to the material. This is an ensemble, as always. The whole gang brings great stuff to the material. But Tapping is amazing here. This is her episode. And being trapped in an ice cave with no idea where you are is a simple but evocative problem. It's like a movie. It's well shot, well paced, with a strong setting. On first watch, the mystery was real, and we are with them as they figure it out. And like many of the episodes on this list, it isn't about the guns and the action, it's about the people and the drama. Number 1. Season 7, Episode 18, Heroes Part 2. A journalist is given permission to film at the SGC and is interviewing various team members and base personnel in order to create a record for posterity of the people of the SGC and what goes on there. While there, a mission goes wrong, with multiple SG teams off-world and several wounded. Rumours spread through the base that someone has died, and that it could be Colonel O'Neill. But in a devastating blow, it turns out to be Dr. Fraser who has lost her life. A truly brutal episode. This one hits hard, and is almost universally recognised as the most emotionally powerful episode of Stargate SG-1, in the appropriately titled Heroes. We get some interviews with the SG personnel which are very poignant.
The people that originated right here on Earth have been enslaved for thousands of years. We're taking the fight back to the Goa'uld.
Throughout, the conversations with the supporting cast give us some powerful moments. The journalist has a great rant in the hallway about the importance of a free press. What he says is very true and passionately delivered. The actor, Saul Rubinek, obviously cared about his part in this story. Apparently he worked with the writer to enhance this scene, and is drawing upon his family's past as Holocaust survivors, which is definitely part of why this speech carries such presence.
And I want other people to see it. What do you think they're doing out there? Protecting and defending? Secrecy? You turn that camera off when I tell you to turn it off.
And we get a great and impassioned face-off between Mr. Woolsey and General Hammond about the value of a soldier's life. The cost of keeping the lights on at the SGC often comes up, but this is the last time the cost of an airman's life is discussed so callously. Hammond forcefully wins this argument and puts it to bed for good. The principle of leave no man behind is an important one to uphold.
You're the one suggesting that sending a rescue team worth $27 million to save the life of one man is a bad business decision.
We don't just leave people behind. You can't ask airmen, soldiers, human beings to risk their lives without backup.
And then there is the line of story involving Dr. Fraser. With the initial fear someone is hurt and an op gone wrong. They build this up well. Giving us a tease and bits of information, we are as much in the dark as the film crew is.
No, I know that at least one person was injured back there. All I want to say...
Leave me alone and shut that damn thing off!
The journalist is trying to find out what happened and realises Daniel has accidentally captured something on camera. And so he tells a story about a photograph, and it really carries weight. It's another great monologue. This one sticks with me as a very powerful parable about the context of the sacrifices members of the armed forces make.
He hadn't accidentally taken a picture of a man dying. It was of a man saving his life.
Despite his protests, Daniel is forced to hand over the tape, and it is here we get the devastating twist of the death in question being the death of Dr. Fraser. The screaming soldier begging to not let his wife see him die is downright painful to watch. They initially try to make you think it is Jack who has died, but then the reveal that it is Dr. Fraser, it hits like a punch to the gut.
I love you so much. God, I just want to... Now you hang in there, Airman. Yes, ma'am. God, what's that? Is she dead?
And sure, we like the Doctor, but it's the way this all comes together that allows it to hit so hard. Characters die in shows, and it's often a way to let a character step back or leave a show. This does not feel like this. This feels painful, unexpected, hard to process. And then we see the aftermath. We see Jack and Sam being so glad he isn't dead.
I'm really glad you're okay.
Daniel, after speaking to the journalist, admits that he realises what the journalist told him is true. He has captured the last shots of Dr. Fraser doing what she does best, saving a life. Teal'c has written a eulogy, the words he might say, and asks Sam to read it. And it is a beautiful service, honouring the life of Dr. Janet Fraser.
The following are the names of the men and women who did not die in service.
And General Hammond is shown the finished documentary, expressing his thanks for such a fitting tribute to his people. General Hammond tearing up is really a powerful moment. Don S. Davis served in the military, and you get a sense that in this scene he is drawing from real emotion.
They deserve more. This is something more.
Often an episodic show doesn't unpack the aftermath of a loss. This one does a great job of it. The story is a two-parter, and that is a large contributing factor to the episode's quality. It is what allows the surrounding discussions, letting the ordeal unfold, and the unpacking of the emotions in the aftermath. This extra length allows for the time for all of this to be explored with the depth it deserves. It is a truly powerful story about the contributions the armed forces make and about the impact a death has on people. And it completely deserves its place as number one on this list. So that is my list of the 10 most emotionally powerful episodes of Stargate SG-1. Stargate is great, and if you've made it to here and never watched it, I am stunned, and you should go watch it right now. Even if it's just been a while since your last rewatch, I wholly recommend another. And it isn't all emotional turmoil. They're often blowing things up, shooting bad guys, exploding stars, running around doing action stuff. It does the fun and exciting stuff just as well. But boy, this show has range. Science fiction is an existential metaphor that allows us to tell stories about the human condition. And as a vehicle to tell these kinds of stories, it is among the very best and most versatile science fiction series that there is. So, if you have an episode that you think belongs on this list, please drop a comment below. I'd love to hear about the episodes that stood out for you. And thanks for watching.